Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Union Bank of India earnings conference call for the period ended March 2021. The bank is represented by the Managing Director and CEO, Shri Raj Kiran Rai ji, Executive Director, Shri Gopal Singh Gosain, Shri Dinesh Kumar Garg, Shri Manas Ranjan Biswal, Shri Nitesh Ranjan, and other members of the top management. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mrs. Ranjita Suresh, Assistant General Manager, Investor Relations. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. The structure of the con call shall include a brief opening statement by MD and CEO, and then the floor will open for interaction. Before getting into the con call, I'll read out the usual disclaimer statements. I would like to submit that certain statements that may be discussed during the investor interaction may be forward-looking statements based on the current expectations. These statements involve a number of risks, uncertainties, and other factors that cause the actual results to differ from the statements. Investors are therefore requested to check the information independently before making any investment or other decisions. You're also aware that Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank were amalgamated into Union Bank of India with effect from 1st April 2020. Accordingly, financials have been disclosed to stock exchanges. However, to facilitate our investor community to have like-to-like comparison, the investor presentation is based on aggregating the audited or reviewed numbers of three banks for March 20 and do not entail any adjustments. With this, I now request our MD and CEO for his opening remarks. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It is pleasure and privilege to meet you all for Union Bank of India financial results for the quarter and financial year ended 31st March 2021. It was a year like no other. The financial year began under clouds of uncertainty about the scale of contagion and longevity of the COVID-19. Just when it seemed India had conquered the virus and restored normalcy, virus came back with even greater force, overwhelming our resources. However, it could not break our will to fight and bounce back. Despite challenges, our banking industry has worked seamlessly to serve India. We also had the challenge of effecting amalgamation this year. Products and process harmonization were completed earlier to offer basic services from day one of amalgamation. Our technology platforms were integrated within record time of 10 months. Customers have common digital banking platforms. Payment systems integration is complete. Our organization structure is rejigged to make it effective for large network and business mix post-amalgamation. Most satisfyingly, our human resources have come together, sharing a common vision of becoming the most preferred bank of New India. We have unlocked synergy benefits in very first year of amalgamation. Coming to the business and financials of the year ended 31st March 2021, the operating profit of the bank grew 6.54% YOY and stood at 19,259 crore for financial year 2020-21. Net interest income registered a growth of 4.37% YOY and stood at 24,688 crores during the year 2020-21. The global net interest margin NIM stood at 2.7% for the year 2020-21. The net profit stood at rupees 2,906 for the year against the net loss of 6,613 crores in the previous year. In terms of business, the RAM sector noted 8.4% YOY growth, raising its share in domestic loan book to 57.7%. Within RAM sector, the retail advances grew 10.5% YOY, agriculture advances grew by 11.9% YOY. Of liabilities, total deposits grew 6.4% YOY to 9,23,805 crores as of March 31st, 2021. The CASA ratio stood at 36.3% as of 31st March 2021 compared to 34.1% of previous year. Speaking of asset quality, the gross NPA ratio stood at 13.7% as of March 21. Our restructured loan book, inclusive of cases implemented and those estimated to undergo restructuring before 30th June is roughly 1.3% of the loan book. Our SMA2 numbers are roughly 0.6% of the loan book. All three together, the stress book is about 2.15% of the loan book. On capital front, the bank raised 2,000 crores of Tier 2 capital and 1,705 crores of AT1 capital during 2021. Bank's operating profit will be sufficient for any provision requirements going forward. The capital raising will be only for growth purposes. Accordingly, we successfully raised 1,447 crores of equity capital during the current quarter of this financial year by way of QIP. Friends, a number of initiatives are underway, both as a part of our long-term strategy and as per the ease reforms agenda, covering all-round digitization and customer convenience. Union Bank secured third rank in Q3 of financial year 2021 in ease agenda with an overall score of 73.5, registering an impressive growth of 38% over the last Q4 of 1920. The bank recorded highest absolute growth among all public sector banks over baseline, affirming all-round improvements in bank. The bank has a lot of value unlocking left in its subsidiaries. These subsidiaries carry a wide range of activities in asset management, capital markets, insurance, marketing and distribution, among others. We have been nurturing them and will take a call on taking these to market at appropriate time. We have already initiated process of offloading our 30% stake in India First Life Insurance. It is expected to fetch good value. Our other subsidiaries and joint ventures are well-established players today. There is a brief on these given in analyst presentation, which you can take into account while analyzing the value potential going forward. Economy has been resilient despite successive waves of COVID disrupting businesses. With vaccination in progress, we can look forward to double-digit growth this year. We are ready to help our clients recover and realize their goals faster. Let me conclude by sharing our guidance for the year 21-22. Deposit and advances growth in the range of 8 to 10%. CASA ratio in the range of 36 to 37%. NIM to be around 2.9 to 3%. Credit cost to be around 2%. Delinquency ratio to be in the range of 2.5. With this guidance, I conclude my remarks. We are grateful to the analyst and investor fraternity for their support and feedback that helps us take informed decisions in our journey towards efficiency and profitability. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hello.
Hi. So my first
Mahrukh, sorry to interrupt you. You're sounding a little distant from the phone. May I request you to speak over the handset?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Now it is better, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my first question is, what is the collection efficiency in April, May versus March?
Actually, we have not shared the collection efficiency numbers for April and May. Our collection efficiency of March was 85%. So the impact is about 2-3% in April and May, but then we are not given the final number. So we will share it in June only.
Yes, sir. And any guidance on how much restructuring you will do in MSME and retail under OTR 2?
No, ma'am. Actually, we have not assessed that because it is in a very, very preliminary stage. The branches are connected to the customers and assessing. So people are also waiting for the opening up, which is happening in June. So we may be able to estimate the number by June end or maybe July. Right now, we will not be able to put out any number.
And sir, how much of assets are outlined to be transferred? Have you earmarked for transfer to the bad bank?
Anyway, now since we have shared the number, so there are 17 accounts in our bank, about 7,800 crores, which in the first phase is identified for fit to be transferred to the National Asset Reconstruction Company. But then a rider here because this call has to be taken by the ARC, not by the bank. Because once the ARC shows the interest in buying this asset, then only it can be transferred there. So, but then it is a preliminary estimate that this much, like in the first list, this like 7,800 crores, 17 accounts are marked to be offered to the ARC.
Okay, sir. And are these, would you be able to give a breakdown on how much of this is fully written off and how much is not?
That I can say that it is fully provided. Yeah. So we don't share that out of that how many is written off, because it doesn't make any difference. Actually, see, when the write back comes, either it comes as a recovery in NPA or it is a recovery in written off account. So it will be difficult to give that number.
Okay, and so my last question is, what were the interest reversals during the quarter?
Interest reversal was 1,260 crores.
Okay, and last quarter you had provided how much for the pro forma NCLs in provision?
That number I will share with you. And actually, see, there are two numbers actually, because let us not mix up. Reversal of interest was 1,260. Then there was one more item called compounding interest, interest on interest. That was 127 crores.
Okay.
Let us not, that is separate, where we gave the credit back to the customer. Whereas 1,260 was the, because the NPA was not officially recognized till December, when the NPA was marked in the month of like March. So 1,260 crores of interest which was not collected got reversed, which will have an impact on our NIM and net interest income for that particular quarter. That's why we have tried to compare year on year, because Q4 numbers may not be depicting the correct situation. So the provision we held for interest reversal was 1,000, this is right, 1,535? We had 1,535 crores, no, that was the provision?
That was around 350.
350, this is for NPA.
250 crores.
We had only 250 crores of provision for interest reversal. So, but actual reversal happened around 1,260.
Okay, sir, and just one very final question. What is the recovery from Bhushan?
Bhushan recovery was 1,450.
1,450, yeah.
1,450.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Jay Mundra from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good evening. Sir, first question is on your MSME slippages. So out of the 17,000 crore, the highest number is from MSME, and where at least the situation is still volatile. So when you say 2% kind of your slippages, 2.5% of slippages, are you seeing the similar kind of MSME slippages, or because 2.5% would mean that improvement in the slippages year on year, right? So yeah, so that is the question, sir. Where do you think the improvement will come from?
Yeah. See, we expect the MSME slippages should be at least 10 to 15% less than what happened last year. Because so last year, MSME book was already under stress when the COVID started. So naturally, COVID further compounded the problem. So we have seen slippage, and slightly the amalgamation also compounded a problem in recognition and the things, because we were going through a massive amalgamation process in the first 6-7 months. So all put together, we saw a higher slippage in MSME. So, but then I don't think that number will repeat. So our numbers for this year, it is at least 15% less than last year's slippage for MSME.
That's good, sir. And second question is, sir, on your SMA, right? So the number that you have shared is for currency reporting above 5 crore. But even if you see your slippages construct this year, it looks like 70-75% has come from below 5 crore number. And maybe the situation would have worsened from March. So any broad numbers that you can give for the SMA2 number for the entire bank, including below 5 crores exposure?
leave that question to
Okay,
Nitish.
so I think current number is around 2.4% of the book, which compared to Q3 when we shared, it was around 3%. SMA2 full book.
SMA2, including below 5 crores exposure, is
Yes, all accounts.
yeah. Okay, that is a very very good number, sir. If I were to compare versus across banks, so 2.4% is a very good number. Okay. And last thing, sir, second last thing. One is what is the outstanding DTA that we have in our book, because we have not moved to the new tax regime. And the last is the recovery expectations from NCLT, non-NCLT, business as usual, etc. What could be the total upgrade recovery, and maybe if you have the corresponding number, that would be the reduction in the total GNPA. Yeah, sir, those were the
Recovery I'll share later. On the DTA, I think our DTA is around 15.
Yes.
15,000?
Right.
15,700 is our DTA.
Sure.
Okay. On the recovery side, I'll ask Ashok Chandra what you can do this year recovery number from NCLT, non-NCLT, and next year expected number you can share.
Yeah, this year total recovery which we have made is 10,800 crores, and in that around 4,500 has come from the NCLT and remaining is from the non-NCLT. Going forward, we are expecting around 13,000 crore of recovery in 21-22, and in that we are expecting around 4,000 from NCLT and 9,000 crore from the non-NCLT.
Understood. So this is the upgrade recovery, right? Not the reduction.
So I'm talking about the same, the cash recovery plus upgradation.
Sure, sir.
Maybe
yeah, because,
1 minute. Actually, there is a recovery from written off accounts.
right.
When we give the tallying number for NPA.
Okay. That is okay. I think we can include that here. So that is okay, sir. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I'll come back in the queue.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishi Ojha from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir. So my question was on other income part. So if I see your console and the standalone numbers, there are roughly a difference of around 2,500 crores. So just wanted to know what accounts for this income and the nature of this income.
Yeah, maybe if you are looking at only Q4, that will be the recovery from write-off account, because we had recovery from write-off extent of about 1,900 in the Q4.
1,900 crore is talking about the standalone and console actually. That was different. I don't think. You're talking about the standalone.
Sir, I'm talking about standalone and console. Recovery, I believe, is already there in standalone that you have given in presentation.
Okay, we'll revert on this.
We will. I think maybe we may have to clarify. We don't see that much difference.
No, we have that treasury income is also there, 900,000 crores.
No, he is telling you standalone number of Union Bank and the consolidated with JVN. We'll revert on this. We can.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Thank you very much. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Harsh from Reliance General Insurance. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, I would like to know, do we have any COVID provisions or we have utilized the COVID provisions made earlier?
Yes, during Q4, actually, the provision what we carried on standard assets as of Q3, because we made provision on the performing NPA, so that was utilized during Q4. So, but still we carry a provision of roughly 1,200 crores on the standard assets. They are mostly on the restructured book and maybe some of the anticipated provision requirement. We still carry some provision, but most of that provision what we made in Q3 we used during Q4.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Nilesh Darji, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
हेलो ये एनपीए आपका ये साल में 8,000 करोड़ बढ़ गया, वो कैसे बढ़ गया?
8,000 कम हुआ है।
अरे 19,000 से उसमें 27,000 हो गया ना ये मार्च 21 में।
नहीं, एक्चुअली लास्ट ईयर का एनपीए 25,000 करोड़ का था, ये बार का एनपीए 17,000 में, तो 8,000 कम हुआ है लास्ट ईयर से एनपीए स्लिपिंग।
नहीं, लास्ट ईयर की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं। ये दिसंबर में आपका एनपीए 3% था, 3.27, अभी 4.62 हो गया। इतना कैसे बढ़ गया अभी?
मार्च में एनपीए दिसंबर में एनपीए रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं हुआ था, वो सब परफॉर्मा एनपीए में था। आप परफॉर्मा एनपीए को ऐड करके देखेंगे तो आपको नंबर मिल जाएगा, बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर का हिसाब से हमने दिसंबर में एनपीए रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं किया था, इसको परफॉर्मा एनपीए में रिकॉग्नाइज किया था। तो मार्च में वो एक्चुअली सिस्टम पे रिकॉग्नाइज हो गया आपका आफ्टर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑर्डर, इसके लिए वो फर्क आ रहा है।
अरे ऐसा कब तक बढ़ता रहेगा? अभी तो सरकार ने इतना रुपया आपको दिया है तो भी एनपीए तो बढ़ता ही जा रहा है ना। अभी 2-3% अब प्राइवेट कंपनी का तो 2% हो जाता है, आपका तो इतना कम ही नहीं होता, थोड़ा थोड़ा कम होता है।
हाँ,
नहीं, अगर आप देखेंगे तो प्रीवियस ईयर की तुलना में 2019-20 और 20-21 में एनपीए तो बैंक का कम हुआ है, एंड गोइंग फॉरवर्ड ऑल्सो इट इज गोइंग टू कम डाउन, ये कम होने वाला है।
अच्छा कर रहे डिविडेंड हमारा 5 साल से आपने डिविडेंड भी नहीं दिया, ये एनपीए करके हमारा वैल्यूशन 300 रुपया का अभी 35 रुपीज़ हो गया, हमको कितना लॉस हो रहा है। वो कब ये सब होगा हमारा रिकवरी? अब तो शेयर होल्डर का 5 साल हो गया, और प्राइवेट सेक्टर का बैंक का भाव देखो कितना बढ़ता ही जा रहा है, हमारा तो डाउन ही जा रहा है। तो ऐसा कुछ करो कि हमारा इन्वेस्ट जो किया है उसका कुछ हमका जो फंस गए उसमें से बाहर निकले।
अभी टर्न अराउंड शुरू हो गया सर, अभी ये साल का आप रिजल्ट देखोगे आपको लगेगा टर्न अराउंड शुरू हो गया। अभी वैल्यूएशन आएगा, हम भी एक्चुअली इसके लिए वरीड है दैट इन्वेस्टर का वैल्यू आना चाहिए, हम भी मेहनत यही कर रहे हैं। तो जो प्रॉब्लम था वो पूरा अभी हमारा पीछे रह गया। अभी ये साल का आप रिजल्ट देखोगे तो आपको ऑलरेडी दिखेगा बैंक अभी चेंज हो रहा है, तो आगे से आपको वैल्यूएशन अच्छा मिलेगा, ये हमारा उम्मीद है।
डिविडेंड का वो मिल सकता है, अब अगले साल मिल सकता है, ऐसा हो सकता है?
जरूर मिलेगा सर, अभी परफॉर्मेंस ऐसे ही रहा तो डिविडेंड भी आएगा सर, क्यों नहीं आएगा।
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Dinesh. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Sohail Halai from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, just wanted to understand in terms of this ECGLS, how much have we disbursed? And second, has there been NPLs after ECGLS disbursements?
Amount of ECLGS I'll give you. I think the sanctions are 9,000
and 8,700 is disbursed.
Sanctions are 9,700 and the disbursement is 8,700 crores. So since this is a fresh loan, we are yet to see any NPA in these accounts. We are not seeing any NPA as of now.
And sir, do you think a possibility of these loans where the ECGLS are already been given, that will also get probably restructured and additional 10% guarantee amount would be given to them? Your view on basically in terms of how this ECGLS funding would shape up going ahead as well?
That we need to actually see, these schemes are just announced after the approvals and all that. We have put out this scheme. We are just assessing, because last year we had assessed the restructuring book can be as high as 4% or so. But ultimately it turned out that it is not even half of that. So because the customer behavior is very difficult to predict, so difficult to put a number, but then yes, some of the restructuring can happen. People will definitely avail the additional 10%, some restructuring will happen, but very difficult to put a number into it. But looking at the behavior last time, it may not be a very big number.
Okay, but some of the ECGLS that people have taken may also find their way in terms of restructuring. And so they would be eligible for this 10% of additional financing as well under the new guidelines, under the new scheme, right?
Definitely, they will be eligible, and they can be restructured also, because if the moratorium period given is less than 24 months, so now they can avail the full 24 months. So that permission RBI has given.
Okay. And so second, just connected to this, is SME restructured so far? So they are not allowed to be restructured second time, right? So they could potentially slip into NPLs?
Yeah, the MSMEs and other accounts restructured in the last year. So because we have given them moratorium and all that, immediately we don't foresee that they will slip actually. But then it again depends on how quickly they can come back, whether you have a third wave, whether again lockdown will happen. See, so many things. So difficult to predict on the customer behavior or how the economy behaves. Because most of these, actually what we have done in the last restructuring also, we have not done restructuring of unviable units and other things. So you would have seen the numbers. We are very careful. We recognize it as NPA rather than restructuring and delaying the case. So we have gone for aggressive recognition and classifying it as NPA. So whatever we have restructured, we are very clear that they are very viable units. So we will not hazard a guess at this point of time what will happen. So there can be NPAs out of this, but then may not be much.
Okay, sir. And if you could just speak about the recovery as well, and especially in terms of DHFL recovery, when do you expect and how much do you expect?
See, DHFL, our expected recovery is roughly 600 plus 900. 600 up to 600 is the cash recovery, another 900 the NCDs or other bonds which is expected. So this is a number for us. So it's a fully provided account. So naturally this will be right back we will be getting. So according to me, if everything goes right, we should see it before September.
Okay. And sir, final question on this asset sale at the national level. Just wanted to understand a couple of parts. One is basically 15% would be in cash and 85% would be in security receipts. Suppose you have written off an account, whether this security receipts money would be also accounted in recovery of a written off, or these security receipts would be marked to ₹1?
Actually, since they are fully provided accounts, so there will not be any additional provisioning requirement for the SRs. That is one thing. So because that provision will get transferred to the SR, even if you have to mark it to ₹1. But then since these SRs are backed by the government, sovereign guarantee, so that treatment, like whether I can write back that much provision, is something which we have to wait for the regulator's decision. At this point of time, it will be difficult to predict that. But if they give the cushion, because it is guaranteed by the government, so that SRs, to that extent, I can write back the provision if the regulator permits. Otherwise, yes, these SRs, I can carry the provision what I am already holding, but then these SRs will be tradable also. We will try to create a market because they are sovereign backed. So if I am able to sell these SRs, definitely I can book that profit.
Okay. So just to be clear on this, if suppose your exposure on a written off account is 100 and the recovery is 30, so you will get somewhere around ₹25 as security receipts. So now there is no clarity yet whether this will boost your PNL or whether this will be marked to ₹1. This would depend upon RBI's regulations, right? Am I right on this?
Yes. So just to clarify, the issuing of SR will not entail any further provision because it is already provided. So that is one part. Second, if the regulator permits write back of provision, that will be a benefit to the P&L, that will accrue to our P&L. One more source is sale of this SR.
Okay. So there would be a trading market that could be created because of the government backing, and after selling this SRs, you could actually show it in your P&L as well.
Right.
All right. And so finally, in terms of if I look at the margins, what is your sense in terms of the margins going into FY22 and 23? So I understand and appreciate that this year, again, because of the interest income reversal, the fourth quarter margins was actually low. But on a steady state basis, how are you looking at the pricing of the loans? And consequently, what is the kind of risk that you are ready to take on your books?
I think the net interest margins came around 2.71 if you look at the full year. So we are projecting 2.9 to 3 NIM for the current year. So actually our estimates are that the interest rates are going to be very stable during this year. I don't see any price cuts and all that. I think the deposit rates also will remain steady, and MCLRs also will remain steady. Now it is basically the pricing part. So right now, on the short-term loans of all public sector and other big private sector, there is huge competition because there is so much of liquidity and the demand is low. So banks are competing with each other to grow the loan book by offering very low interest rates. The pricing power at this point of time is missing. So, but then unless the liquidity is sucked out of the system, this competition will continue. But then when we are projecting our improvement in net interest margin, because we are having a lot of infrastructure funding, particularly term loan proposals, and as a large bank, there is some pricing power. We are gradually improving our pricing. Plus, on the retail side, we are shifting to products which are like higher margin, like vehicle loans and others. So with that, we are planning that we can reach around 2.9 to 3. But otherwise, interest rate is going to be very stable this year. Short-term market, I don't think banks will have the pricing power for the next 7-8 months.
Sure. So, and finally, if you could actually just guide in terms of any internal estimates of the ROAs that you have for the next couple of years?
Yes, I'll ask Nitesh to share that.
I think for this year, we are given a guidance of around 20 basis point, against which we have reported around 27 basis point of ROA. For next year, our guidance is somewhere between 40 to 50 basis point. And you will see that in terms of our operating profit run rate, we have already reached around 500 crores of operating profit per quarter. And as MD said in the beginning, we are looking this year around 8 to 10% of advances growth. So one is that income will come from that. Then couple of points I'll also add. In terms of NIM will increase you can see there is a steady increase in CASA ratio. And also that now most of this year, if you assume that interest rates remain stable, so most of the advances have already been repriced at the lower rate. However, the repricing of deposits will still happen, which will come for maturity. So that is the advantage we'll get. On top of that, as he said in the opening statement, we are looking at divesting our stake of 30% in India First Life Insurance Company. So that is another income which will come. And then on the credit cost, this year's credit cost will be lower due to the lower aging provision, lower delinquency related provision that we are looking at, and also something benefit that can come due to the transfer of assets to NARCL. So altogether, we are looking at around 40 to 50 basis point of ROA this year. And moving forward in FY23, somewhere between 0.75 to 0.8 ROA, one can think of.
Sure, sir. That is very helpful. Thanks a lot, sir. Best of luck and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Abhijit from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Sir, looking at the slippages breakup for the full year FY21, there is a 5,700 crores slippages from the large corporate segment. If you could elaborate what has driven that?
Out of that, about 3,000 crores is already upgraded, because these were OTR cases under restructuring. Because there is no protection, they slipped in March. But then before June, they are restructured and they are already upgraded during this quarter. So they out of 3,000 crores. No?
Yes, 3,000 is already upgraded.
3,000 is already upgraded out of these 5,711. So on the corporate side, we didn't see much. It is only OTR cases.
So this upgrade is it part of the slide 41 where you've given the estimated implementation number on corporate restructuring?
No. That is actually the remaining corporate accounts post-March which will be restructured. The remaining, out of that something has happened in May and other things before 30th June. That is the number we shared. So to give a color to the total restructured book from the OTR 1 RBI scheme. So we have given that because some spillover was there, because the scheme was there up to June 30th. So naturally some corporate accounts are getting restructured in the Q1. So to give clarity, we have given that. But what I am saying is the NPA slippage from the corporate book, which was 5,711 crores as of March, from that book actually about 3,000 crores of accounts which slipped, they were under one-time restructuring. The restructuring is complete and they got upgraded in the Q1 of this year.
So that 3,665 crores of corporate loans, we should add 3,000 crores from the NPL line, which will get upgraded.
No, don't mix up that, because that will be under restructuring. That 3,600 which is happening during these 3 months, they will get added to the total restructuring book of 6,000 odd crores, which is already completed as of 31st March. If you look at retail, MSME and corporate, which has happened up to March, that adds up to about 6,000 odd crores. The remaining 3,600 is happening before June. The total restructured book will be 10,000, and all the 10,000 will be standard.
Just to add here, on slide 41, 3,665 that you are noticing, that are due for implementation this quarter. Out of that, 2,000 crores had slipped in Q4.
Yes.
Which is now upgraded due to the OTR implementation.
Got it.
Is that clear?
Yeah. And sir, there is one slide on Mudra loans, slide 19. So that the total loans under Mudra scheme is around almost 19,000 crores. There is a number of 6,737 crores. That's the number for last year, is it?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so it's almost grown 3 times over the last 1 year.
No. The first slide is the disbursement. The first part is the disbursement during this year, and the second part is the outstanding.
Yes.
Okay, understood. So 18,000 crores, this gets included in the retail segment or the MSME segment?
It will be mostly in MSME.
And what would be the NPL just on the Mudra book?
Mudra is around 11.79.
And it has gone up this year or not?
It has gone up slightly. So, I don't have the last year number. Definitely it has gone up, but it is 11.79, much below the normal MSME slippages.
Got it. And the last one was, what is the share of repo-linked loans in the overall loan book?
Share of no. Repo linked, sir. Repo linked वो भी ABLR वो भी आएगा ना retail वाला जो. But then that number will share actually this. 15%. Now it is 15%. It is 15%.
Okay, all right. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashok Ajmera from Ajcon Global Services. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, compliments for coming out with good set of numbers even for this difficult quarter also, Q4. Though there was a pressure and most of the other banks could not meet that pressure and they've gone into the losses. Having said that, sir, most of the questions have already been answered in such a long discussion. I have got a few data points and some clarification.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in case of the sector-wise, if you see the loan portfolio, in textiles, there has been an increase in this quarter of 4,700 crore. Is it one or two large companies or they are collectively the advantage in the whole sector, textile sector?
Textile sector, I may not have that breakup now. Because these are the normal decision-making processes and, there will be increasing limits.
Because you see, if you compare with the overall growth, sector-wise, there is hardly any growth in, except NBFC and textile. There is no growth in any other this thing. So, I was just wondering that, is it a large account or... But anyway, if you don't have the numbers right now...
Yeah, we'll look at it,
at all. And this increase similarly in NBFC of around 1,700 crore and housing finance of 2,800 crores. They are all, I suppose, A plus rated companies?
Yeah, that breakup we are given in one of the presentation actually. How is our NBFC book, and these are all top rated accounts where we are increasing selectively our exposure. So, yeah.
Sir, if you look at the in this treasury income in this quarter has been 934 as compared to 1,454 crore in the last quarter. But there is a profit on sale of investment also, which has also gone down. So any specific reason for treasury, because Otherwise, there was no impact in any other bank of this magnitude. So, is there a change in the policy or change in the method of booking this income?
Treasury, actually, there is a regular activity. Depending on the call of the Treasury, they book profits because generally, like it is an interest rate function actually. So third quarter, like the situation would have been better to book profits, they would have booked actually. So like I have no comment here because this is a Treasury function is basically, when they see profits and the market is more congenial, they book more profits. So these fluctuations, maybe Q3 was slightly higher.
It was almost about 2,800 crore.
Yeah. Q3 was higher than normal. Maybe they sensed better opportunity because Treasury is more of a more independent this thing. So looking at the opportunities they encash. So Q4 is more of a normal number. I think if you look at all quarters, this is the normal number you'll see. Q3 was a higher number.
When the recovery in return of account is very good, 1,961 crore. There is one head others 134 crore. What is that in recovery in others 134 crore, which has come only in this quarter?
ARC sale.
It is a ARC sale.
Last quarter we recovered that much amount.
Can you repeat it, please?
It is a ARC sale. Sale to ARC.
Okay, sale to ARC. That is what only I was wondering. Sir, there is a note number 22. There is an additional provision of 750 crore on account of the delayed implementation of the accounts under resolution. What is the total outstanding of those loan accounts and how many such accounts on which the provision of 750 crore is made?
Yes, total 9 accounts, which includes Air India also.
What is it?
Outstanding is how much?
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. You're sounding very distant from the phone.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
No, my sound is okay. I could not hear from here.
No, actually our people are discussing. Just a minute. I'll come. Actually, we are just trying. Full provision. No.
Small amount, but major is here.
For what purpose?
It's a divergence.
Resolution was to be implemented. It was not done in time. Therefore,
The delayed. It is RBI guideline.
180 plus 30 days.
Yeah. So there was a delay in implementation of a resolution plan in few cases. For that, extra provision has been stipulated.
I just wanted how many number of accounts and what is the amount of those total outstanding account in those accounts.
we'll share this separately.
We'll share with you separately.
Number for the account is 9.
Yeah.
And sir, this this COVID loan, special COVID loan dispensation by RBI at repo rate of 50,000 crore was announced. I believe our bank has also made the policy under this particular scheme. So, do you have any data that how much under this our loan book is under this COVID loan? How much sanctioned and how much disbursed? And are we positive about it in future?
Definitely we are positive. The products are all given now to the field, but then it is too early to share the numbers because it's very early stages. Because the product is there and the branches are already canvassing. Actually, we are reaching out. So we are very positive. We are likely to build a good book on this, but then too early days for putting a number into this.
Sir, will you consider it to route it through the NBFC for onward lending to the medical field?
No, at this point of time, that consideration is not in front of us. We are looking at only direct lending at this point of time.
Okay, sir. I have one more question, sir. That this interest deferral from March to August, which was converted into FITL, which was to be paid before 31st March 2021. Do you have the number that whether it has been paid on time by everyone, or was there any slippage on that also?
Yeah, only 58 crores is pending in FITL. All other was paid. All other FITL was paid.
This was rest of all was
got
paid. Yeah. And sir, this recovery which I referred just now, in that Bhushan in this 1,961 crore, that Bhushan recovery is included in this recovery, 1450 crore.
1450 of Bhushan is included in the total write-off recovery of 1,900 crores for the quarter.
Yeah. So the recovery otherwise rest of other than Bhushan is only around 500 crores.
Yeah.
Sir, one point which we discussed earlier about that National Asset Recovery, this NRCL. On that, we were giving like example of, say, you have got about 7,800, means around 8,000 crore, which is there in the first list of 84,000, 85,000 crore. And on that, on the same example, that if the value is taken about 25-30%, so it comes to around, say, even 2,000 crore also. And on that 15%, so that 300 crore will definitely go in your bottom line, will be going as a profit. Now, my question was, which you are explaining, is that since the SRs for the remaining amount is guaranteed by the government of India, sovereign guarantee, first of all, there is no question of any provision on that. So no additional provision. The provision which is there has to be returned back. Secondly, why can't it be treated as an income now only? Because in any case, that amount has to be received. It is guaranteed by the government of India. So why not the entire 2,000 crore comes as in the bottom line of the bank?
That will take a call. Actually, like too premature, like once this is formed, as is formed, when we get the government guarantee and all that, at that time we'll discuss with the regulator and take a call on that. So at this point of time, we are not factored that in. We are not factored.
And secondly, it will not remain only at 8,000, because this is only in the month of June and July, this 85,000 list is going to be finalized. But ultimately, during this year, it will be almost 2 lakh crores.
Yeah. Those accounts are also identified. This number is where all the banks have already met and given in principle okay that this can go to this ARC.
So your banks can be around 20-25,000 crore out of that 2 lakh crore, isn't it? And the whole year.
Yeah, that Ashok, you have any idea? First list. Too early. The first list is around 7,800 crores which we have shared. The second and third list will come and it can be close to what you are saying, but then we have no estimate of numbers as of now.
And my last question, sir, is on the advances. When you are talking about 10 to 12% of the growth in the advances, I mean, everyone is chasing, as you know, the retail portfolio, the RAM. So is there any particular thought in the bank to, because at the same time you want a higher rate of interest also, you want to increase your NIM also and the yield also. So is there any plan to push MSME in a bigger way in the coming year, where you get a reasonably good rate of interest rather than the large corporate or the retail?
See, we are not avoiding MSME financing, but now we have better mechanism of underwriting MSME loans. There are credit bureaus giving a lot of information, and then we have developed a very good straight-through processing of assessment of MSME. So MSME will continue to be there. But according to us, the MSME growth can be around 5%. But then we are expecting a double-digit growth on retail and the agriculture also. This time also it has done well. So particularly in agriculture, the gold loan portfolio. So that is where we are aggressively planning to grow.
Yes, gold loan is also one of the areas where definitely the bank can.
Yeah. Now we have great South India presence where this gold loan is very preferred mode of borrowing. So we have built some mechanism to increase our gold loan portfolio, which we will be aggressively driving during this year.
And sir, since the time is there, one more question. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There was a query on the difference in other income in the standalone and the consolidated. I'd just like to say that the numbers are actually not comparable, because the previous year numbers are of Union Bank of India pre-amalgamated, and this year number is amalgamated. That is number one. Number two is that both the life insurance companies that we have as a joint venture, IFLIC and SUD Life, their premium income is actually shown as part of the other income in the consolidated financials. So that is the only reason you are seeing that difference. There is nothing extraordinary here. So, still, if you have any further clarification, I think you can reach out to our investor relations team.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Oza from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi sir, thank you for that clarification. I had just one more question. You earlier said that you have deferred tax assets of around 15,000 crores. So is it fair to say that for the next 2 years we won't see any tax on books?
I think, yes, we may not, because we have accumulated losses carried forward. So
we have accumulated losses of around 11,000 crores, which is sufficient for this year and also next year will be set up. So this 2 year we are not expecting any substantial tax output. So it will be nil only. That's
Okay.
You heard that, no? Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sushil Choksey from Indus Equity Advisors. Please go ahead.
Sir, good evening and thank you for taking my question.
Good evening.
My first question is, with commodity inflation, oil being at 2-year high, oil cartel is working very hard. India is already at petrol at 100 rupees. Commodity inflation at 10-year high. You look at any soft commodity. Aren't RBI and government is managing their borrowing and the current situation well? But don't we think that Treasury's outlook needs a little different than where we stand today?
Actually, in the Treasury, this time the GSAPs are going to make all the difference, because like every month we are seeing a lot of buying happening under GSAPs, which is taking away a lot of my securities which are in the money without disturbing my STM portfolio. So this year, because of this GSAP itself, the Treasury income should go up. And strategy-wise, interest rates are likely to be very stable, because like the way we are seeing the 10-year bond market around 6%, maybe 5-10 basis point here and there. So with that stability, Treasury has a source of booking certain income, but then GSAPs are going to be the big differentiator for the Treasury this year. Otherwise, interest rate is likely to be very stable this year.
Can you guide the Treasury income year on year can be better thanks to GSAP?
Maybe we will
at least stable. That's what we can say at this point.
So whatever recover, in a fluctuating scenario, Treasury does better. Now this is a stable scenario. So this time GSAP will help them to maintain the numbers what they have achieved last year.
To improve your profitability, you may do long tenure loans and avoid the short term tenors where banking competition is high between private, public and foreign. In what specific area are you seeing growth in long tenures of 7-year, 8-year, 9-year, 10-year kind of lending?
Yeah, we actually you are right actually, because that is where some pricing power is still there, long-term loans.
Yeah,
short-term
besides LRD and road projects, where do you see any?
Actually, that investment is yet to come back. We are seeing small proposals of some expansion in steel, some expansion in textiles, but then they are quite small compared to our book size. We are yet to see some greenfield projects to come in, except the on the solar and other things. So not many. So it is mostly now what is happening is a consolidation in the sector, where good customers are shifting from smaller bank to larger banks, trying to reduce the number of bank in the consortium. So mostly this kind of activities. So on the long-term funding side, mostly the funding is happening in road, power transmission to some extent. So mostly on this. We are not seeing and LRDs and other things.
To improve your cost to income, one is CASA and second thing is digitization. On these two areas specifically, post-consolidation is now over, as your opening remark indicated. What further steps would you take that you strengthen the bank to a greater height?
Yeah, you are right. CASA, you would have seen that we have already improved by 2%. We were around 34, now we are 36. So we'll steadily grow. There is a lot of effort going on because we are a low CASA bank, so we are very conscious of that, and we are gradually improving, and hopefully in another 3 years' time we should cross 40% CASA ratio. That is the effort going on. Now again, like this CASA increase and other loans, the digitization is the way forward. So bank has taken a lot of steps actually, like on the digitization side, right from account opening to processing of loans. See, we are one bank which already has digitized even the documentation part. Even though the numbers are not big at this point of time. On personal loan, pre-approved loans, it is a straight-through processing. They can come through either mobile or net banking. Even up to the level of documentation, they can complete the process without visiting a branch. It has also happened in vehicle loans in some states. In MSME up to 5 crores, we have a straight-through processing already built in. So digitally, we are building a very strong mechanism. On the trade finance side, we are already tied up with a software vendor, one of the very famous vendors, and we are in the process. Next 3-4 months, all my export-import business will move to the trade finance module, which will totally digitize the process and centralize the process. So my customers should be able to sit at home and do all his export, import, BG, LC transactions, including bill discounting. So there is a lot of work going on the digitization side, which will be rolled out during the year.
Sir, further to digitization, human resource needs a big transformation as banks are changing and the processes are changing. What kind of spend you would allocate toward digitization and human resource upliftment?
See, today every staff in the bank has to be digital tech savvy digital savvy. There is no other way. Everybody, either in branch or corporate, they have to work on these technologies. Everybody is being trained on that. And on the HR side, there is a great transformation going on. So where we have totally again got into a advanced performance management platform where there is an individual development plan, training module. So today I can pick up any staff and know what kind of training is going through. A lot of e-learning modules are there, particularly on the digital learning side. So we are making a lot of efforts on that side. It is not only, getting a technology, you can always get it by spending some money. But unless the staff are tech savvy, it is very difficult to implement. We understand that, and there is a lot of work going on this direction also.
So all these measures would lead to a turnaround time TAT in percentage term efficient by 10-20% this year or more?
Today, there may be always exceptions, but on the corporate credit side, you can talk to corporates and they will tell how Union Bank performs. So I think Union Bank has one of the best TAT in corporate credit, and we are able to garner a lot of business on the corporate credit. On the retail and MSME side, our mechanisms are very, very good because we have centralized the whole process for the whole bank now. So the TAT is, particularly in MSME, is between 7 to 10 days.
Does it mean that TAT in large corporate being better, are you able to take larger fees or a higher interest compared to competition?
Yes. First time you can see an entry of syndication fee of about 7-8 crores, which was not there. So our bank this year has earned about 8 crores in syndication fee also.
Can this be a 3-digit in crores?
May take some more time because unless the investment comes in the system in a big way, that numbers will not improve. At this point of time, there are very few proposals in the pipeline, so may not be there. But then yes, as the investment credit goes up, so naturally, we can always look at that bigger numbers.
So post QIP,
sorry to interrupt you. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question.
Thank you.
I request all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Ashok Ajmera from Ajcon Global Services. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you for giving this opportunity again, so I can get some more details. Sir, this after the Supreme Court judgment of listing that Rajendra Sharma's case, where the pro forma, I think the provision was made for 1,536 crores. So that time, how much amount of the NPA in December was taken on which this provision was made? And actually, how much additional amount has gone into NPA or slippage during this quarter in addition to that pro forma NPA?
I think the pro forma NPA was around 11,700 as of December, and the actual slippage happened is 14,000. 14,480 in March. So 14,480 minus 11,780 is the slippage during the fourth quarter.
No, is it some of this part is from those accounts only where the means additional for this current 3 months, or these are altogether different parties for this remaining 3,000 crores?
It is very difficult to go account wise, but then when you look at it arithmetically, performa NPAs are actually NPAs to the extent of 11,700 crores as of December. So now net addition to that was 3,000 crores, where ultimately resulted in 14,700 crores in March actual recognition. So you can say in the Q4 about 3,000 crores of NPA got added to the performa NPA. And again, what happens is when we recognize the NPA in a particular customer ID, all the accounts get recognized as NPA, whether it's performa NPA or otherwise. So you can't say that the same NPA account it got increased. It will be new accounts which would have added. That is the interpretation.
Okay, sir. My second question was, sir, was that on the this provision for the fraud account, that 938 crores has been carried forward.
Yeah.
But how much has been provided in this quarter on account of this fraud cases? And this 938 crore
is carried forward. How much is provided in this quarter, I'll tell you. Around 350 crores.
So in the next, so this 938 crore will be in April, June, and July, September, or?
Next 2 quarters it will be absorbed. By September quarter it will be absorbed.
By September it will be absorbed. Okay, sir. My next question.
So sorry to interrupt you. I'll request to come back in the question queue. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
Hi, sir. So,
Mahrukh, sorry to interrupt you once again. You're sounding a little distant from the phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Sir, revaluation reserve, would you have the number for revaluation reserve?
We will definitely have, we'll share with you revaluation reserve number. We'll share it with you. I think he's immediately not able to.
Not a problem. Thank you.
2,047 crores. 2047. Oh, that is the full value.
No, 2,000%, that is 45% of that. So, उसको 55
So that will be around 5,000.
Around 5,000. 4,800. Divided by 0.45. So it is 4,500.
That is 4,500.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that will be the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation and for the questions. Your questions always lead us to look at our numbers again and reorient our strategies. Thank you. But if you look at the performance during this year, this was the most difficult year, not only because of the COVID and also because of the amalgamation which we went through. And the first 6 months, basically, in addition to the COVID, we were resetting the administrative officers, setting up our centralization and other departments and all that. Despite that, if you look at the performance, bank has done very well. The profit of 2,906 crores after making provisions, reaching provision coverage ratio of 81% is a very good improvement over previous year. At this point of time, we strongly feel that bank's balance sheet has improved substantially. The operating profits have reached substantially high levels. So when you are assessing the valuation of the bank, please keep all these numbers. We have shared whatever details you wanted. and we are also available offline if any data is required. So please look into our numbers positively and also help that we improve on our profitability and performance as we go forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Union Bank of India, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.